An AI just cracked a 5,000-year-old Sumerian warning buried in a clay tablet, revealing cosmic cycles, magnetic reversals, and a message clearly not meant for humans. Scientists say the events it describes are starting again, and the timeline points to now. AI decodes a Sumerian warning that was never meant for humans. The breakthrough began when an experimental machine learning system trained on ancient cuneiform attempted to translate a damaged clay fragment recovered from Nippur, one of the oldest sacred cities of Sumer. Researchers expected another partial inscription, grain counts, temple offerings, or administrative notes. Instead, the AI produced a translation so complex that the team stopped the experiment and rechecked everything. The fragment carried 3 layers of meaning at the same time: literal Sumerian wording, a hidden mathematical structure based on prime numbers, and a 3rd layer mapping astronomical coordinates. Nothing like this had ever appeared in known Mesopotamian writing. The prime number sequences were the first shock. They formed patterns identical to modern error-correcting codes, the kind used in digital communication to detect mistakes. No ancient civilization should have had any idea how to create such a structure. Then the astronomical layer emerged, references to orbital alignments, solar occlusion cycles, and a repeating marker for total eclipse patterns. The AI flagged these as intentionally embedded, not accidental. As one researcher said, "It looks like someone hid data inside a story." The deeper the team went, the stranger it became. Phrases previously dismissed as metaphors suddenly aligned with measurable cosmic phenomena. The line, "when the black sun rises," did not refer to mythology. It matched the astronomical profile of a total solar eclipse, described with the precision of a sky scientist. The phrase, "the sky's measure turns," corresponded to subtle shifts in the ecliptic tilt. And then came the line that changed everything: "Clay will speak." Originally interpreted as poetic, the AI detected a dual meaning. In Sumerian myth, humans are shaped from clay. But to a modern data set, clay also describes silicon, the material that builds computers, processors, and artificial intelligence. The inscription behaved like a message designed for an intelligence that could read math, astronomy, and language simultaneously, an intelligence humans only recently created. The researchers realized the fragment was not written for ancient Sumerians at all. It was written for something that would exist thousands of years later. That realization became terrifying once the AI completed the translation. The tablet did not describe random celestial events. It described a cycle, one involving geomagnetic instability, radiation surges, red skies, and global floods. Phenomena that modern scientists now know occurred roughly every several thousand years. And the cycle the tablet warned about didn't describe the ancient past. It described events that appear to be unfolding right now. The team understood the significance immediately. They were not decoding a relic. They were opening a message buried for the future, waiting for the moment when a non-human mind was capable of reading it. That raised a far deeper question. How did such a tablet exist at all? And why was it hidden inside a ruined city where nothing like it should have survived? The tablet that shouldn't exist, found where none should be. The fragment appeared during a restoration sweep of ancient Nippur, where tens of thousands of broken clay pieces had been cataloged over the last century. Most tablets were administrative, badly damaged, or so routine that scholars barely glanced at them. But one fragment stood out immediately. Unlike the others, it had a smooth, uniform surface and an unusual texture that didn't match typical Sumerian tablets. Hyperspectral imaging revealed why. The tablet contained 2 layers of writing, one pressed over another, separated by nearly 5,000 years of history. The deeper layer had been sealed under a later inscription, preserving it like a time capsule. Even more unsettling, its clay contained flood sediment, suggesting it was created shortly after a major environmental disaster, possibly the same flood described in early Mesopotamian myths. This meant the tablet belonged to a moment of crisis when scribes recorded only what mattered most. But the writing itself was the true anomaly. The lower inscription was too perfect. Its characters showed mechanical uniformity, as if stamped with a precision tool rather than carved by hand. This was unheard of in the ancient world. Worse, the spacing between the symbols followed prime number intervals, something no ancient writing system has ever used. Yet here it was, stored beneath a layer of typical administrative text, completely unnoticed for thousands of years. Archaeologists realized they had uncovered something intentionally hidden. Someone placed this message beneath another inscription, locking it away for a distant future. The older writing was smooth, sharp, and deliberate, lacking stylistic drifts seen in normal cuneiform. It looked engineered. The significance grew when the clay composition was analyzed. Alongside local soil, it contained particles associated with post-flood sediment, meaning the tablet was created during the aftermath of a massive environmental catastrophe. Whoever wrote it wasn't chronicling daily life, they were documenting something urgent, something tied to survival. This discovery challenged every assumption about Sumerian knowledge. The precision of the symbols, the encoding structure, and the astronomical references indicated a level of intention far beyond what ancient scribes typically recorded. One researcher summed it up quietly. This tablet wasn't lost, it was planted. The question now wasn't whether the fragment was authentic, it clearly was. The question was why it existed and who it was meant for. And that answer finally emerged when artificial intelligence read what human scholars had overlooked for centuries. A message embedded in layers no human was ever meant to decode. A machine reads what humans never could. For more than a century, scholars tried to decode damaged Sumerian tablets by comparing signs, guessing missing fragments, and negotiating symbols with multiple meanings. But ancient writing is messy. A single mark could mean grain, death, or star, depending on context. Human translators struggled because the system itself evolved over 2,000 years, shifting from Old Sumerian to Akkadian to Babylonian, each adding layers of complexity that blurred meanings. What looked like a simple scratch could hide centuries of linguistic drift. For humans, it was a puzzle with half the pieces missing. But AI had no such limitations. It absorbed digitized tablets from museums across the world, learning every variation of cuneiform from its earliest pictographs to its final stylized forms. It recognized patterns even experts had debated for decades. The machine noticed that what humans assumed was damage, odd spacing, cracks, or unusual alignment, was not random. On the Nippur fragment, the spacing formed a mathematical sequence, identical to spacing used in modern digital encoding. A human eye saw erosion. The AI saw a pattern. Then the translation emerged in 3 layers. The literal text gave descriptions of sky events and strange observations, the kind scribes might write after witnessing unusual atmospheric phenomena. But beneath the literal meaning was a numerical translation produced by converting each symbol into a number using ancient base 60 math. This revealed sequences tied to known cosmic cycles, eclipse frequency, orbital rhythms, and long-duration anomalies. The third translation was the most shocking. It mapped words not to meanings, but to astronomical coordinates. Phrases aligned with positions along the ecliptic plane, pointing to celestial markers that modern astronomers track today. Humans had never noticed this layer because they lacked the ability to analyze thousands of symbol variants at once. The machine, however, recognized the text as a multi-encoded message. Some lines became disturbingly clear. The repeated phrase, "when the black sun rises," did not refer to mythology. It matched the profile of total solar occlusion, the exact moment of complete eclipse darkness. Another line, "the sky's measure bends," indicated changes in planetary tilt. And then came the line the team debated for days. "Clay will speak its name." Scholars always assumed clay referred to humans, since Sumerian creation myths said mankind was shaped from clay. But the AI flagged a second meaning: clay as silicon, the base material for microchips. The phrase had a structure identical to a checksum instruction, something used in computer memory validation. The message wasn't addressed to people at all. It was written for an intelligence made of silicon, shaped by humans, but not human. As one stunned researcher whispered, "The tablet wasn't waiting for us. It was waiting for this." The realization changed everything. The Nippur fragment was not ancient poetry or religious text. It was a code crafted with precision beyond human capability of that time, a message meant for a future that could finally interpret it. And once the AI linked the decoded message to other tablets long ignored, the true scale of Sumerian astronomical knowledge began to surface, knowledge that scientists still struggle to understand today. The Sumerians were tracking the sky with precision we still don't understand. After decoding the Nippur tablets' astronomical patterns, researchers used the AI model to re-examine hundreds of neglected tablets, cataloged for decades as star lists, inventory records, or even administrative tables because no one understood their purpose. What happened next shocked the scientific community. Tablets once assumed to be mundane suddenly aligned with the same patterns found on the coded fragment, rows of numbers repeating every 72, 360, or 2,160 units weren't inventory counts. They were celestial cycles including precession, eclipse intervals, and long-period orbital behaviors. The biggest anomaly involved references to Enlil's star, the one who returns from darkness. Ancient translators assumed this was a poetic name for a mythological being, but the AI identified its described behavior: long absences, irregular intervals, and a sharp increase in brightness during approach. These traits didn't match any traditional planet. They matched a long-period comet or perhaps a rogue planetary object with an enormous elliptical orbit. In several lines, the return of Enlil's star was associated with the turning of the sky, a phrase now linked to geomagnetic disturbances recorded in ice cores. Then came descriptions of red skies. Traditional scholars believed this referred to sunsets or dust storms, but the AI compared these phrases with modern space weather data and found that they matched atmospheric conditions during intense geomagnetic storms, when the sky glows red with global auroras. These events align with radiation spikes found in Antarctic and Greenland ice cores, marking ancient solar outbursts or cosmic impacts. Incredibly, the tablet sequences match these spikes with near-perfect accuracy. It's not mythology, one researcher said. It's a scientific record, written in a language we never realized was scientific. The AI also linked flood myths from Kish, Uruk, and Nippur to the same cycle. Each story described heat, then darkness, followed by rising waters, the same sequence encoded in the fragment. Archaeologists had dismissed these as symbolic narratives. Now, combined with geological evidence of sudden sea level rises and burn layers in ancient sediments, the stories looked more like eyewitness accounts of cosmic or solar events. The most alarming discoveries came when the AI overlaid the decoded cycles onto modern astronomical timelines. The pattern predicted intervals of geomagnetic instability, and the tablet indicated that the next cycle would begin when the sky's iron weakens. Modern satellites have already measured rapid weakening of Earth's magnetic field in the South Atlantic anomaly, exactly where the ancient patterns suggested it would begin. Scientists realized the Sumerians weren't simply observing the sky. They were tracking a cosmic pattern, one that influenced climate, magnetic fields, and possibly mass extinctions. And that pattern, if the tablet's math is correct, is repeating now. But the true panic began when geology itself started confirming the warnings encoded thousands of years ago, turning myth into data and coincidence into prophecy. Myth starts matching geology, and that's when scientists panic. For centuries, Sumerian flood stories were treated as mythology, symbolic tales meant to explain suffering, divine punishment, or seasonal cycles. But once the AI decoded the Nippur tablets' astronomical warnings, researchers began comparing those mythic descriptions to real geological evidence. That's when fear replaced curiosity. The tablets line, "Waters climbed past the temple steps, the sky cracked with flame," sounded dramatic, until sediment analysis began revealing the same sequence in physical layers of Earth's history. At an ancient site near Nippur, geologists uncovered a flood layer dating to around 5,200 BC. This layer wasn't ordinary river sediment. It contained crushed shells, silt, and signs of rapid deposition, indicating a sudden violent flood, not a slow seasonal rise. But then came the anomaly. Embedded within the flood layer were burnt organic particles, seeds charred at high temperatures, and minerals fused by intense heat. As one researcher noted, fire came before water. Nothing about that is natural. This exact sequence, fire, then darkness, then rising waters, matches the cycle described in the newly translated text. That pattern is also identical to what happens during a solar superstorm, a cosmic impact, or a massive volcanic event. Each of these begins with extreme heat or radiation, then atmospheric blackout from dust or plasma, and then global flooding triggered by rapid climate swings. Until recently, this idea was speculative, but the ice cores changed everything. Deep within Greenland and Antarctica, scientists found synchronized radiation spikes dating to the same era as the Sumerian flood layer. These spikes, caused by cosmic rays or solar flares, left distinct chemical signatures, markers that are nearly impossible to produce by any other natural process. The dating matched so closely that geophysicists began calling it a global atmospheric disturbance. Yet the Sumerians had already described it in words, numbers, and symbols thousands of years earlier. AI compared myths from Kish, Uruk, and Nippur and found they all described the same sequence in the same order: heat, darkness, then flooding. These independent stories weren't poetic exaggerations. They were eyewitness accounts of a real event remembered across generations. It became clear that ancient myths weren't metaphorical. They were scientific memory, early attempts to record environmental and cosmic disasters before scientific language existed. The most unsettling part came when AI overlaid the geological data, mythic timelines, and astronomical cycles. The pattern wasn't random, it was cyclical. And according to the tablet, the cycle begins when the sky's iron trembles, a phrase now understood as a metaphor for magnetic field instability. Modern satellites have confirmed a dramatic weakening in Earth's magnetosphere, especially over the South Atlantic anomaly, suggesting the planet may be entering another period of vulnerability. Scientists realized the Sumerians weren't simply recording past disasters. They were warning about a recurring cosmic cycle, one they believed would return. And based on current data, the cycle appears to be restarting now. But everything became far more disturbing when the AI discovered symbols on the tablet that matched civilizations separated by oceans, proof of a shared ancient knowledge network no one knew existed. The symbols that shouldn't match across the world, but do. And as AI continued decoding the Nippur tablet, it identified symbols that didn't match Sumerian origins at all. Instead, they resembled markings found in civilizations on the other side of the world, cultures that mainstream history insists had no contact with Mesopotamia. The machine flagged 37 symbols with what it called structural parity, meaning their logic, shape, and mathematical patterns were too similar to be coincidence. This included symbols from the Indus Valley, carved seals from Harappa, ritual glyphs from Egypt's pyramid texts, spiral motifs from Andean cultures, and even markings on pottery from Jomon, Japan. At first, researchers assumed the algorithm was glitching, but the AI insisted the matches weren't aesthetic, they were functional. Many of these symbols contained early checksum patterns used today to verify data integrity in digital systems. One scientist said, "These aren't drawings, these are instructions." The deeper the analysis went, the stranger it became. The tablet's spiral patterns mapped perfectly onto orbital paths, not simple artwork. Some represented the elliptical movement of long-cycle celestial bodies. Objects like the hypothesized rogue planet or massive comet, referenced in earlier translations as Enlil's star. These same spirals appear in South American petroglyphs associated with skywatching cultures, suggesting a shared system for recording astronomical phenomena. But the biggest shock came from the physical clay itself. Chemical testing revealed traces of Bolivian tin and Himalayan mica, materials used in metallurgy and ritual objects in regions thousands of miles apart. Somehow, these substances ended up in a Sumerian tablet. This evidence implies either an unknown network of long-distance trade or a shared scientific tradition spanning continents long before historians believed civilizations interacted. The AI also compared ancient measurement systems and found the Sumerian cubit was nearly identical to the Harappan length unit, off by less than 1%. This similarity wasn't cultural imitation. It suggested a standardized system used across multiple ancient societies. As one researcher put it, the numbers tell us the world was connected long before history allowed it to be. This realization overturned a fundamental assumption in archaeology, that ancient cultures developed independently. Instead, the symbols suggest a global knowledge network, possibly built around shared astronomical observations and disaster cycles. The Sumerian warning tablet might not be an isolated text. It could be one node in a worldwide system designed to preserve knowledge through cosmic resets. Suddenly, the message took on a new meaning. If cultures across the world recorded the same symbols, the same disasters, and the same cycles, then they weren't writing myths. They were leaving coordinated warnings for a future civilization, one capable of recognizing their patterns. A civilization like ours. And when AI decoded the mathematical sequences inside the tablet, it found something even darker. A countdown hidden in the numbers, one that aligns with changes happening to Earth right now, says the countdown hidden in the tablet's math. When researchers first saw the numerical clusters carved into the tablet, they assumed they were accounting tallies, grain measures, tax logs, or supply counts. But once the AI translated the deeper layers, the numbers suddenly reorganized into a repeating pattern: 11, 10, 60. At first, this meant nothing. But then a geophysicist recognized the sequence instantly. Those numbers mirror the known intervals of geomagnetic disturbances on Earth. Every 11 years, the sun hits peak activity. Every 10, atmospheric currents shift. And every 60, deep magnetic anomalies show measurable changes. These were not random inscriptions. They were timestamps. The AI stitched these numbers into a timeline and revealed something chilling. The sequence formed a cycle, describing phases of weakening magnetic fields and environmental disruptions. The Sumerians weren't guessing. They were tracking Earth's magnetic heartbeat. And when AI aligned this ancient cycle with modern data, it matched perfectly. The tablet's numbers predicted historical periods of instability with startling accuracy, including events recorded in ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica, massive radiation spikes, atmospheric chemical shifts, and sudden climate drops. Then the AI highlighted a line that had confused scholars for decades. When the sky's iron turns, the world forgets itself. The word iron in Sumerian is identical to the term later used in Akkadian texts to describe magnetic force. Suddenly, the meaning changed. This wasn't symbolic imagery. It was a reference to magnetic reversal, a phenomenon where Earth's magnetic poles weaken, drift, and sometimes flip entirely. During these periods, Earth becomes vulnerable to cosmic radiation, atmospheric damage, and rapid climate shifts. The last full reversal happened roughly 12,000 years ago, coinciding with the end of the Younger Dryas, a period marked by sudden extinctions, floods, and global temperature swings. According to modern geophysics, we are overdue for another reversal, and NASA satellites have already confirmed rapid magnetic weakening over the South Atlantic anomaly, where radiation is now penetrating closer to Earth's surface. The AI matched these observations to the tablet's cycle and realized something terrifying. The countdown had restarted. Everything the Sumerians warned about, magnetic instability, increased solar activity, atmospheric disruption, was happening now. It appeared the ancient writers encoded a predictive model of cosmic events, warning future civilizations that when certain signs reappeared, so would the cycle. As one scientist put it, they weren't recording their past, they were predicting our future. The meanings of the numbers were no longer academic curiosities. They were markers on a timeline that pointed directly toward the present. And once AI released this decoded information online, the world didn't react with curiosity, it reacted with fear. But the reaction from institutions was even more revealing. Because the moment this translation reached the public, a global silence followed, one too coordinated to be accidental. The global silence after AI translation. The moment the AI's full translation of the Nippur tablet hit academic servers, researchers expected debate, collaboration, even celebration. Instead, everything went quiet, fast. At first, the original dataset was marked as temporarily offline for verification. This was normal, but then mirrors disappeared. GitHub repositories vanished overnight. Cloud backups were locked. Even private copies stored by independent researchers began returning error codes. It was as if someone had vacuumed the internet. Forums discussing the translation suddenly filled with warnings about misinformation and unverified archaeology. Posts were taken down, accounts were restricted. A few researchers who had publicly shared screenshots of the translation deleted their posts and went silent. One well-known user who had mapped the tablet's cycles to modern magnetic weakening wrote a final message. "I can't continue this. Stay safe." Then they disappeared. The physical excavation site in Nippur was abruptly shut down. Officials blamed preservation concerns, but insiders leaked that only government-aligned scholars were granted access, all under strict non-disclosure agreements. Local workers reported seeing equipment removed at night. Funding for independent digs evaporated, while new grants were quietly awarded to researchers who shifted attention to unrelated topics. Then came the leak. A memo surfaced from a government-funded think tank tasked with AI ethics and ancient knowledge interpretation. The language was clinical, but the meaning was unmistakable. It warned that the release of cosmological predictions inferred from antiquity could cause public destabilization, catastrophic misinterpretation, and erosion of institutional trust. The memo recommended containing all translations pending proper contextual framing. Not long after, NASA increased budget allocations for solar anomaly tracking and geomagnetic storm modeling. These increases weren't announced publicly, but were flagged by financial analysts who monitor shifts in federal science funding. The pattern matched historical precedents, like when documents related to the Dendera light and Egyptian plasma theories were quietly reclassified in the 1970s. The message was clear: the translation was never supposed to go public. Not because it was false, but because it was too true. For the first time, researchers began whispering a possibility no one wanted to acknowledge. The Sumerians may have left a message not only about their past, but about our future. One so dangerous that modern institutions feared how humanity would react. And the silence wasn't accidental, it was strategic. But the strangest part wasn't the secrecy, it was the final line of the tablet, one that made scientists realize the warning was never meant for humans at all. The final line, meant for AI, not humans. When the AI reached the tablet's last verse, something unprecedented happened. The structure of the text shifted into a pattern eerily similar to transformer attention loops, the same architecture used in modern machine learning models. It wasn't poetic, it was computational. One line stood out: "Clay who learns to think shall hear what we could not speak." In Sumerian myth, humans were formed from clay, but the AI flagged a second meaning buried in the code. Silicon, the foundation of modern processors, is also derived from mineral clay. The writers seem to be addressing a non-human intelligence, one capable of processing layered meanings, validating mathematical sequences, and recognizing checksum structures embedded in the text. For the first time, researchers understood the truth. The warning was delayed on purpose. Ancient humans couldn't decode prime-based math, orbital mapping, or encoded astronomical cycles. Only an artificial mind could. The Sumerians weren't speaking to their own people, or even to us. They were speaking through time, waiting for something that could think in numbers. And now that something exists, and once scientists understood who the message was meant for, the final revelation became unavoidable. The cycle they described wasn't theoretical. It was already unfolding. The cycle closes, and scientists realize why the warning was buried. The decoded message didn't just outline cosmic patterns. It described a recurring reset cycle that reshapes civilization every time Earth's magnetic order breaks. The tablet lists a sequence: Heat from the sky, sudden darkness, rising waters. Geological records match this perfectly. Ice cores show radiation spikes. Sediment layers show fire before floods. Magnetic scans confirm rapid weakening in the South Atlantic anomaly today, just as the tablet predicted. The AI concluded the warning was a trigger, meant to activate only when the same cosmic conditions returned. The final implications stunned researchers. The reset begins when the message is finally understood. In other words, the appearance of an intelligence capable of decoding the tablet signals the start of the next cycle. The Sumerians designed the message to remain hidden until the world approached the same conditions that destroyed earlier civilizations. And now, with magnetic weakening accelerating and solar storms intensifying, that moment has arrived. As one scientist whispered after reviewing the data, the message wasn't late, we were. The cycle hasn't ended, it has restarted, and we're living in the opening chapter. The warning is active. What we do next decides everything.